What if a flight attendant assaulted a woman for her appearance, only to discover she owns the private jet and holds her fate? Welcome to the unseen force on the jet, a story that'll grip your heart and flip your perspective with a reveal so explosive it'll leave you speechless. Picture this. A woman steps onto a luxurious Gulfstream, mocked as a trespasser by a crew member who thinks she knows wealth. But she's hiding a truth that'll make them regret every word. Buckle up. This tale of prejudice, courage, and jaw-dropping redemption is about to take you on a wild ride. The Santa Monica airfield was a restless expanse of concrete and ambition, where private jets gleamed under the rising sun, their polished hulls catching the morning light like mirrors. The air was heavy with the scent of jet fuel and salty ocean breeze, a sharp reminder of the coastal city's blend of grit and glamour. Tarmac crews bustled in neon vests, their radios crackling, while sleek vehicles ferried passengers to and from their planes. Amid this controlled chaos, Amara Thompson stepped onto the tarmac, her presence a quiet contrast to the frenetic energy. At 40, she was a black woman whose unassuming style belied her power as the CEO of Thompson Air, a private aviation empire she'd built from a single charter plane to a global fleet. Her navy blazer, slightly worn at the cuffs, hung loosely over a white t-shirt and dark jeans, and her low-heeled boots tapped softly against the concrete. Her dark hair was pulled into a loose bun, and her face, free of makeup, carried a quiet confidence that went unnoticed by the crew scurrying around her. In her hand, she carried a small leather satchel, its contents simple: a notebook, a pen, and a folded contract for a board meeting in Dallas. To the casual observer, Amara looked like a misplaced traveler, not the woman who owned the Gulfstream G700 gleaming before her, its pristine white hull a testament to her success. Today, she was here for a routine flight, a quick trip to Dallas and back to LA by evening, but also to test her crew's values, to see if they lived up to the principles of respect she'd instilled in her company. As she climbed the jet's short stairway, her boots echoing with purpose, she had no idea she was about to walk into a storm that would shake her world and everyone aboard. The Gulfstream's cabin was a sanctuary of luxury, a world apart from the commercial flights beyond the tarmac. Plush leather seats, upholstered in creamy beige, lined the walls, their surfaces gleaming under soft recessed lighting. Mahogany panels framed the windows, their rich grain catching the light, while a faint scent of lavender lingered in the air courtesy of discreet diffusers. The cabin was quiet, its only sound the gentle hum of the plane's systems warming up, the space waiting to welcome its elite passengers. A small bar area stocked with crystal glassware and top-shelf liquors sat near the rear, and a digital screen displayed the flight's itinerary: Santa Monica to Dallas, 2 hours and 40 minutes. This was a realm of exclusivity where every detail, from the hand-stitched seats to the personalized service, was curated to scream wealth. To board a private jet was to claim a place among the untouchable, a privilege that demanded a certain look, a certain aura, to belong. Amara moved to her preferred seat, right side, second row, her steps measured, her presence unassuming. She placed her satchel in the overhead bin, its leather scuffed from years of use, and shrugged off her blazer, draping it casually over the seat. The cabin was still empty, the passengers yet to board, and she relished the rare moment of solitude, a chance to breathe before the day's demands took over. She checked her watch, a simple silver piece she'd inherited from her father, noting she was early, as always. Her routine was to arrive before the crew, to ensure every detail was perfect, a habit born from years of building Thompson Air from nothing. But the calm was shattered by a sharp voice slicing through the cabin's serenity. "Excuse me, who are you and what are you doing here?" Amara turned slowly, her dark eyes meeting those of a flight attendant marching down the aisle. Her name tag read Lisa Harper, and her slim frame was clad in a crisp navy uniform, her blonde hair pulled into a severe bun that matched the suspicion twisting her face. Her posture was stiff, her arms crossed tightly, her tone a blade meant to cut through Amara's presence. "This is a private aircraft," Lisa added, her words dripping with disdain, her eyes flicking over Amara's jeans and t-shirt. A few crew members nearby, a young co-pilot named Jamal and a maintenance tech, glanced up, their expressions a mix of curiosity and unease. Lisa's confidence swelled, feeding off the cabin's silence. her authority unchallenged in this domain she believed she controlled. Amara kept her voice smooth, her composure unshaken. "I'm supposed to be here," she said, offering a small, polite smile, her tone a quiet anchor in the rising tension. Lisa's laugh was sharp, a bark that echoed off the mahogany panels. "Supposed to be here?" she repeated, her tone laced with mockery. "This jet is for Thompson Air's clients. I'm going to need you to leave, now." The words were a jab, meant to humiliate, and the crew members shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting between Lisa and Amara. Jamal, the co-pilot, stepped forward, his Navy uniform slightly rumpled, his voice hesitant. "Maybe we should check the manifest," he said, his tone cautious, his instinct to diffuse the situation warring with his fear of Lisa's authority. Lisa's head snapped toward him, her eyes narrowing. "Stay out of this, Jamal," she snapped, her voice cutting. "Go check the systems." Jamal hesitated, his jaw tightening, but he retreated, his gaze lingering on Amara, apologetic. Amara's hand rested on her satchel, her fingers brushing the leather, but her expression remained serene. "I own the plane," she said, her voice calm, the words delivered with a steady rhythm that carried the weight of truth. "I'm Amara Thompson, CEO of Thompson Air. This is my jet." The cabin fell silent, the hum of the engines, the only sound as Lisa's face hardened, her disbelief palpable. For a long moment, she didn't move, her eyes scanning Amara's casual attire, jeans, t-shirt, scuffed boots, as if searching for a flaw in the claim. Then she laughed again, sharper this time, her arms still crossed. "You own the plane?" she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Sure you do, sweetheart. I don't know what scam you're running, but you're not fooling anyone." The crowd's tension grew, the crew members exchanging nervous glances, their silence a tacit endorsement of Lisa's judgment. Amara took a small step forward, her voice still even, her eyes locking onto Lisa's with quiet intensity. "There's no scam," she said. "I'm the reason this company exists. You don't know who you're talking to." The words were a warning, delivered without malice but with the clarity that he made the cabin feel smaller. Lisa's smirk faltered, but her resolve didn't break. If anything, she dug in deeper, her posture stiffening, her voice rising. "You need to leave," she said, her tone now a command, cutting through the cabin like a whip. "This is private property, and you're trespassing." The crew members shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting to the floor, while Jamal's hands clenched, his instinct to intervene warring with his position. Amara's jaw tightened, a flicker of anger rising in her chest, but she swallowed it, her composure a shield she'd honed through years of navigating prejudice. "Get the captain," she said, her voice dropping, a firm directive that carried the weight of her authority. Lisa's face flushed, her ego bruised by Amara's defiance. "Don't tell me what to do," she snapped, stepping closer, her voice loud enough to echo through the empty cabin. "You think you can stroll in here, lie your way onto a private jet, and act like you belong?" The words were laced with venom, her eyes flickering over Amar's attire, jeans, t-shirt, blazer, as if they were evidence of her unworthiness. The cabin's silence was deafening, the crew members frozen, their complicity a heavy weight. Then, in a flash of reckless anger, Lisa raised her hand and slapped Amara, the sound cracking through the cabin like a gunshot, sharp and brutal, echoing off the leather seats and mahogany panels. Amara didn't stumble, didn't cry out, didn't flinch. She stood there, one hand slowly rising to touch her cheek, her brown eyes locking onto Lisa's with a cold, terrifying calm that made the air feel heavier. The cabin erupted in gasps as passengers began boarding, their chatter dying as they witnessed the scene. Mr. and Mrs. Langley, a wealthy couple in their 60s, froze near the entrance. Mrs. Langley's diamond necklace glinting, her hand clutching her husband's arm. Mr. Langley, his tailored suit immaculate, muttered, "What's she doing on a private jet?" His tone smug, but his wife's eyes widened, sensing something amiss. A tech executive from Phoenix dropped his briefcase, the thud breaking the silence, while a real estate investor from Scottsdale gasped, pulling her daughter behind her. Lila, a 22-year-old intern boarding with her boss, pulled out her phone, her thumb hitting record, her heart racing as she captured the moment. The crew members stood stunned, Jamal's face a mask of shock, his hands clenched, while the maintenance tech backed away, his eyes wide. Lisa's face paled, her hand still raised, her breath catching as she realized she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Amara let the moment stretch, her calm a silent storm, her hand dropping from her cheek as she straightened her blazer, brushing an invisible speck from the sleeve. The passengers stared, their horror palpable, their privilege a silent accomplice to the assault. Lisa's voice trembled, her earlier bravado crumbling. "I'm calling security," she stammered, fumbling for her radio, her hand shaking. "You're trespassing!" Amara's gaze didn't waver, her voice low and deliberate. "Please do call them," she said, her words a gauntlet thrown into the silence. The passengers exchanged nervous glances, some backing toward the door, others filming discreetly, their phones a chorus of accountability. Lila's video began uploading, her caption, "Flight attendant slaps woman on private jet. Huge mistake." Captain Roland Vance, a tall man with dark skin and silver at his temples, stepped out of the cockpit, his frown deepening as he took in the scene. His 6 years with Thompson Air had taught him to recognize Amara instantly, and his eyes widened, then hardened. "Ms. Thompson," he said, his voice loud enough to cut through the tension. "Is everything all right?" The cabin gasped again, passengers whispering, "Miss Thompson?" Lisa whirled around, her face draining of color, her voice a whisper. "Miss Thompson?" she repeated, her eyes darting to Amara, who stood unmoved, her blazer now a symbol of her authority. "She's Mrs. Thompson," Roland confirmed, his tone firm, his gaze piercing Lisa. "CEO of Thompson Air. This is her jet." Lisa's radio slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor, her knees buckling as the truth slammed into her. The passengers' whispers turned to murmurs, some shaking their heads, others filming with renewed urgency. Lila's video hit social media, already gaining thousands of views, comments flooding in. "She slapped the owner?" Jamal stepped forward, his voice shaking but clear. "I tried to stop her," he said, his Navy uniform a badge of courage. "She wouldn't listen." Roland's gaze softened, but his tone was stern as he turned to Lisa. "You need to apologize. Now," he said, his voice a command that brooked no argument. Lisa's face flushed, her eyes glassy, her voice a stammer. I'm sorry," she said, the words weak, hollow, an apology without weight. Amara stared at her, unmoved, her calm a silent rebuke. "An apology doesn't erase a slap," she said, her voice smooth as glass, cutting through the cabin's tension. "You made a choice, and now you'll face the consequences." The passengers gasped, their phones capturing every word, Lila's video now at 1 million views, comments raging, "Justice incoming!" Amara reached into her blazer, pulling out a black business card trimmed in gold foil, its minimalist design radiating power. She placed it on the tray table between them, the words Amara Thompson, CEO and founder, Thompson Air gleaming in sharp letters. Lisa stared at it, her breath hitching, her hands trembling as she backed away, bumping into a seat. "I didn't know," she stammered, her voice breaking. Amara's gaze was unrelenting. "You didn't need to know," she said. "You should have treated me like a human being." Roland turned to Amara, his voice deferential. "Would you like her removed from the flight, Miss Thompson?" he asked, his presence a silent promise of action. Amara paused, her eyes sweeping the cabin, the passengers, the crew, the faces now watching her with a mix of awe and guilt. "No," she said, her voice cutting through the tension like a razor. "She'll stay. She's going to serve me with respect, just like she should have from the start. Let's see if she can learn something today." The crowd gasped, passengers exchanging glances, some filming with urgency, others whispering in disbelief. Lisa's face crumpled, her career hanging by a thread, her earlier arrogance a distant memory. The cabin was a battlefield, and Amara had won without raising her voice. But the war for change was far from over, and the real reckoning was waiting on the ground. The Gulfstream G700's cabin was a pressure cooker, its plush leather seats and mahogany panels a stark contrast to the explosive tension that had erupted within. Amara Thompson stood in row 2, her navy blazer a symbol of her unyielding authority, her dark eyes locked on Lisa Harper, the flight attendant whose slap had ignited a firestorm. Lisa's blonde bun was unraveling, her navy uniform now a hollow relic, her face pale as the reality of Amara's identity, CEO of Thompson Air and owner of the jet, crashed over her like a tidal wave. Her trembling hands clutched the edge of a seat, her earlier arrogance shattered, her career teetering on the brink. Captain Roland Vance stood beside Amara, his silver-streaked hair catching the cabin's soft light, his stern gaze pinning Lisa to the spot. Jamal, the young co-pilot, hovered near the cockpit, his Navy uniform a quiet badge of his courage, his eyes shining with pride for Amara's composure. Passengers, elite executives and investors, stood frozen, their designer bags and tailored suits forgotten, their phones raised, capturing every moment of the unfolding drama. Lila, the 22-year-old intern in row 4, kept her video rolling, her clip already viral with millions of views. The hashtag had Jet Slap Scandal trending globally. Here in Mrs. Langley, the elitist couple near the entrance, sat rigid, their earlier smugness replaced by unease. Their diamond necklace and tailored blazer, no shield against the weight of their complicity. Amara's calm assertion of ownership had flipped the power dynamic, and Lisa's assault was now a public scandal. The cabin was no longer a private jet, it was a battlefield, and Amara's unseen force was about to reshape everything. Lisa's voice was a whisper, her earlier bravado gone. "I'm sorry, Ms. Thompson," she stammered, tears welling in her eyes, her apology weak and trembling, a hollow attempt to salvage her crumbling world. Amara's gaze was unrelenting, her calm a silent storm that made the cabin feel smaller. "An apology doesn't erase a slap," she said, her voice smooth as glass, cutting through the tension like a blade. "You didn't just disrespect me, you assaulted me in my own jet because you decided I didn't belong." The passengers gasped, their phones capturing every word. Lila's video now at 5 million views, comments flooding in. "She slapped the CEO?" And "Justice incoming." Captain Roland's eyes narrowed, his voice firm. "Ms. Harper, you have crossed a line," he said, his tone a command that brooked no argument. "You'll remain on this flight as Ms. Thompson requested, but you're under review. Step back to the galley. Now." Lisa's knees buckled, her hands shaking as she nodded, her heels clicking unevenly as she retreated, the crowd's eyes burning into her, their whispers a chorus of judgment. Jamal stepped forward, his voice shaking but clear. "I tried to stop her, Miss Thompson," he said, his Navy uniform a testament to his courage. "She wouldn't check the manifest. I knew something was wrong." Amara's gaze softened, a rare smile breaking through. "You did good, Jamal," she said, her voice warm but firm. "We need more like you." The passengers murmured, some nodding in approval, others filming Jamal's testimony, their phones amplifying the moment. Lila's video captured his words, the clip destined to go viral alongside Amara's stand, comments raging. "That co-pilot's a hero." Mr. Langley whispered to his wife, "She's the CEO. We misjudged her." His earlier arrogance gone, while Mrs. Langley's necklace glinted as she nodded, her face pale with regret. Amara turned back to Lisa, her voice low but resonant. "You're going to serve me," she said, her words a quiet command that silenced the cabin. "With respect, with care, just like you should have from the start. Let's see if you can learn something today." The crowd gasped again, passengers exchanging glances, some filming with urgency, others whispering in disbelief. Lisa's face crumpled, her career hanging by a thread, her earlier prejudice exposed for all to see. She nodded stiffly, her hands clenching, and retreated to the galley, her every step a march toward humiliation. The passengers' whispers grew louder, snippets of judgment piercing the cabin. "She's done for." Thompson's jet. Viral video. Lila's clip hit 10 million views, comments now global. "This is what power looks like. And she's teaching her a lesson." Captain Roland turned to Amara, his voice deferential. "Monsieur Thompson, how would you like to proceed?" he asked, his presence a silent promise of action. Amara paused, her eyes sweeping the cabin. The passengers, the crew, the faces now watching her with a mix of awe and guilt. "We proceed with the flight," she said, her voice steady but firm. "But this isn't just about today. I was scouting this crew for a diversity initiative, a program to bring underrepresented youth into aviation. Your actions, Ms. Harper, have put that at risk." The crowd gasped, passengers leaning forward, their phones capturing the bombshell. Lisa's face drained of color, her trembling hands betraying her unraveling life. The initiative, a $10 million partnership with a national education fund, was a cornerstone of Amara's vision for Thompson Air, and Lisa's slap had jeopardized a contract that could have reshaped the industry. Lila's video captured Amara's words, the clip now trending with #RespectNotRiches, comments flooding in. She's changing aviation. Roland's jaw tightened, his voice firm. Ms. Harper, you'll serve this flight under my supervision, he said. Any further misconduct, and you're off the plane at Dallas. Lisa nodded, her eyes glassy, her voice a whisper. Yes, Captain, she said, retreating to the galley, her career a footnote in a growing scandal. The passengers' murmurs turned to outrage, some shaking their heads, others filming her retreat, their judgment a weight she couldn't escape. Jamal's eyes shone with pride, his earlier hesitation forgotten, while Sophia, the junior crew member, stood near the bar, her nervous glances replaced by quiet respect for Amara. Mr. Langley leaned forward, his voice low. Miss Thompson, I was wrong, he said, his tailored suit no longer a symbol of superiority. I judged you. I'm sorry. Mrs. Langley nodded, her necklace clinking softly. We'll support your initiative, she added, their earlier prejudice, a weight they couldn't shed. Amara acknowledged them with a nod, her focus returning to the cabin. This isn't just about me, she said, her voice rising, addressing the entire jet. It's about every person who's been judged, dismissed, or hurt because they didn't fit someone's picture of worth. I built Thompson Air to break barriers, not build them. The passengers gasped, their phones capturing every word. Lila's video now at 15 million views, comments raging, she's a legend. And this is why representation matters. The cabin's tension was palpable. Every passenger aware they were witnessing a moment that would echo far beyond the flight. Sophia stepped forward, her voice shaking. Miss Thompson, I'm sorry I didn't speak up, she said, her eyes dropping. I should have done more. Amara's gaze softened, her voice firm but kind. Then do more now, she said. Make sure this doesn't happen again. The intercom crackled, and Roland's voice filled the cabin, steady and calm. Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff. Passengers, please take your seats. The passengers complied, their phones still raised, capturing the moment as the jet began to taxi, the engines roaring to life. Lisa emerged from the galley, her face pale, her hands trembling as she approached Amara's seat. Would you like something to drink, ma'am? She asked, her voice low, almost breaking, her earlier arrogance a distant memory. Amara opened her eyes slowly, her calm a quiet storm. Water, she said, her voice smooth. Room temperature. No ice. Lisa nodded, rushing to fulfill the order with a care she'd never shown before, her every movement a plea for redemption. The passengers watched, their eyes flicking between Lisa and Amara, their silence a testament to the shift in power. Lila's video captured the exchange, the clip destined to define the scandal, comments now in multiple languages. She's serving the woman she slapped? Amara leaned back in her seat, her blazer a symbol of her authority, her cheek still aching faintly from the slap, but her resolve unshaken. The jet lifted off, the California coastline falling away, but the real ascent was happening inside the cabin. Lisa's actions had exposed a deeper sickness, prejudice that judged worth by appearance, and Amara's response was a masterclass in power. She hadn't shouted, hadn't retaliated, but her calm had grounded a crew member and sparked a reckoning. The passengers' whispers grew quieter, their phones still raised, capturing the moment as Lisa returned with the water, placing it on the tray table with both hands, careful not to spill a drop. Thank you, Amara said, her voice polite but weighted, a mountain lifted with 2 words. Lisa stepped back, nodding once, her face a mask of shame and fear, and retreated to the galley, her career a footnote in a viral storm. The jet soared through the clouds, the cabin settling into a strange quiet, the hum of the engines the only sound. Passengers adjusted their seats, but their eyes remained fixed on Amara, their earlier silence now a quiet apology. Lila's video hit 20 million views, comments flooding in. This is what justice looks like. And she's rewriting the rules. The #RespectNotRiches trended globally, a rallying cry for dignity over prejudice. Mr. Langley leaned forward again, his voice softer. Ms. Thompson, your strength is inspiring, he said, his earlier prejudice a lesson learned. Mrs. Langley nodded, her voice trembling. We'll fund your program, she said, their support a small step toward redemption. Amara's gaze turned to the window, the clouds a canvas for her thoughts. She'd built Thompson Air to break barriers, to create opportunities for those who'd been overlooked. But Lisa's slap was a reminder of how far the industry had to go. The Diversity Initiative, a $10 million partnership to bring underrepresented youth into aviation, was now at risk, its future tied to the crew's ability to learn from this moment. Jamal approached, his voice quiet. Miss Thompson, I'm honored to work for you, he said, his eyes shining with pride. Amara's smile was warm, her voice firm. Keep speaking up, Jamal, she said. That's how we change things. The co-pilot nodded, his resolve strengthened, his role in the story a spark for change. Lisa remained in the galley, her hands trembling, her face hidden, the weight of her actions crushing her. The passengers' whispers reached her, snippets of judgment piercing the curtain. She's fired. Thompson's jet. Viral video. Her career, once a source of pride, was now a cautionary tale, her name trending alongside at a jet slap scandal. She replayed the moment, her sharp demand, her refusal to listen, the slap that had ended everything. She'd assumed Amara was out of place, but Amara was the place, the force behind the jet, the company, the future. The cabin was a battlefield, and Amara had won without raising her voice. But the war for change was far from over, and the real reckoning awaited on the ground in Dallas, where corporate was already mobilizing, and the world was watching. The Gulfstream G700 soared through the clouds, its plush cabin a silent testament to the seismic shift that had unfolded before takeoff. Amara Thompson sat in row 2, her navy blazer a symbol of her unyielding authority, her dark eyes reflecting a quiet strength that had reshaped the narrative of the flight. The viral videos capturing Lisa Harper's slap and Amara's calm revelation as CEO of Thompson Air had exploded across social media, tagged with #JetSlapScandal and #RespectNotRiches, amassing over 50 million views and igniting a global firestorm. The airline's reputation, once a beacon of elite travel, was now a lightning rod for outrage, with boycott calls and demands for reform flooding in from passengers, activists, and industry leaders. Inside the cabin, the air was thick with the fallout of Amara's stand. Lisa, stripped of her badge and facing termination, sat in the galley, her Navy uniform a hollow relic, her face buried in her hands, her career erased in a single moment. Captain Roland Vance remained in the cockpit, his seasoned presence a steady anchor, while Jamal, the young co-pilot, stood near the front, his Navy uniform a badge of courage, his pride for Amara evident in his steady gaze. Lila, the 22-year-old intern in row 4, scrolled through her viral video's comments, her phone buzzing with notifications. The clip, now a cultural touchstone. Mr. and Mrs. Langley, the elitist couple near the entrance, sat in silence. Their earlier prejudice a weight they couldn't shed. Their diamond necklace and tailored blazer no longer symbols of superiority. Amara's quiet force had grounded a crew member and sparked a reckoning. But the battle for lasting change was just beginning, and the world was watching. As the jet began its descent into Dallas Love Field, the cabin's tension lingered, passengers adjusting their seats but their eyes fixed on Amara, their earlier silence now a quiet apology. Lila's video, now at 60 million views, had sparked a global conversation, with comments ranging from, "She's a queen," to "Airlines need to change." News outlets ran the story on home pages, and influencers amplified the hashtags, turning #JetSlapScandal into a rallying cry for justice. Passengers from the flight shared their own clips, some capturing Lisa's sharp demands, others showing Amara's calm response, and many highlighting Jamal's brave intervention. The airline's social media accounts were inundated with demands for accountability, and rival carriers issued statements pledging inclusivity, distancing themselves from the scandal. At Thompson Air's corporate office, a glass tower overlooking the Pacific, the board, led by Chairwoman Evelyn Carter, held an emergency meeting. The scandal threatened a $10 million diversity initiative Amara had championed, and Evelyn knew ignoring her demands would tank the company's brand. She announced a $7 million donation to the Ellison Empowerment Network, a public apology, and mandatory inclusivity training, hoping to salvage the airline's reputation. Back in the cabin, the seatbelt sign chimed on, and Captain Rowland's voice crackled over the intercom, steady and calm. Ladies and gentlemen, we've landed safely at Dallas Love Field. Please remain seated until the seatbelt sign is turned off. Thank you for flying with Thompson Air. The announcement was routine, but the cabin's silence was heavy, passengers lingering, their phones still raised, waiting to see what would happen next. Amara leaned back, her blazer a quiet emblem of her power, her cheeks still aching faintly from Lisa's slap, but her resolve unshaken. Lila leaned forward, her voice low. "Miss Thompson, you're incredible," she said, her eyes shining with admiration. "My video's changing things. People are calling for reform." Amara's smile was brief but warm. "It's not about the video," she said, her voice steady. "It's about the truth." Aaliyah's grip on the gift box loosened, her voice soft but firm. "We just wanted to fly," she said, her words a quiet rebuke to the prejudice they'd faced. Jamal approached, his voice quiet but resolute. "Ms. Thompson, I'm honored to work for you," he said, his eyes shining with pride. Amara's gaze softened, her voice firm but kind. "Keep speaking up, Jamal," she said. "That's how we change things." The co-pilot nodded, his resolve strengthened, his role in the story a spark for change. Sophia, the junior crew member, stood near the bar, her earlier complicity now a lesson learned, her voice soft. Ms. Thompson, I'm sorry I didn't do more," she said, her eyes dropping. Amara's response was direct. "Then do more now," she said. "Make sure this doesn't happen again." Sophia nodded, her respect for Amara a quiet fire in her chest. Lisa remained in the galley, her face hidden, her trembling hands betraying her unraveling life. The captain's words, "Surrender your badge," echoed in her mind, a death knell for her 8-year career. She'd climbed the ranks through dedication, her seniority a shield she thought unbreakable. But one snap judgment, assuming Amara didn't belong on her own jet, had shattered everything. The passengers' whispers reached her, snippets of judgment piercing the curtain. "She's fired. Thompson's jet." Viral video. Her career was now a cautionary tale, her name trending alongside #JetSlapScandal, her slap a defining moment in a global reckoning. She replayed the incident, her sharp demand, her refusal to listen, the slap that had ended her world. She judged Amara by her jeans and blazer, not her presence, and now she was the one out of place. The jet rolled to a stop at the private terminal, the seatbelt sign chiming off. But the usual rush to disembark was absent. Passengers lingered, their phones capturing the moment as Amara gathered her satchel, her movements deliberate, her blazer a quiet emblem of her authority. Captain Rowland emerged from the cockpit, his silver-streaked hair catching the light, his face stern as he approached the galley. "Ms. Harper, ground operations will escort you to administration," he said, his voice firm but not cruel. "Your badge and key have been processed." Lisa's eyes welled with tears, her voice a whisper. "It was a mistake," she pleaded, but Rowland's gaze was unrelenting. "It was an assault," he said, "and you made it on Miss Thompson's jet." 2 corporate security officers appeared at the door, their presence a silent command, and Lisa walked forward, her steps uneven, her face pale. The passengers watched, some filming, others whispering, their judgment a weight she couldn't escape. Lila's video captured her exit, the clip now at 70 million views, comments raging. "She slapped the owner and thought she'd get away?" The cabin cleared, leaving Amara, Rowland, Jamal, and a few lingering passengers. A man in a Navy suit, Thompson Air's corporate counsel, Marcus Reed, stood at the door, his tablet in hand, his presence signaling the board's response. He approached Amara, his voice deferential. "Ms. Thompson, the board has issued a statement," he said, showing her the screen. "Thompson Air condemns any behavior that diminishes passenger dignity. The crew member responsible has been terminated, and we are implementing mandatory inclusivity training." Amara nodded, her voice firm. "It's a start," she said, "but I want the diversity initiative fully funded. $10 million, no cuts." Marcus nodded, his tone resolute. "It's done," he said, "and we're promoting Jamal to a leadership training program, per your recommendation." Amara's smile was brief but warm, her gaze turning to Jamal, who stood taller, his pride evident. The passengers disembarked, some pausing to nod at Amara, their earlier silence now a quiet apology. Mr. Langley approached, his voice softer. "Miss Thompson, your strength is inspiring," he said, his earlier prejudice a lesson learned. Mrs. Langley nodded, her voice trembling. "We'll fund your program," she said, their support a small step toward redemption. Lila lingered, her phone still in hand. "Ms. Thompson, your story's changing aviation," she said, her eyes shining. "I'm posting everything." Amara's response was direct. "Keep posting," she said. "The truth needs to be seen." Lisa faced a public backlash, her name a synonym for prejudice, her career in aviation over. But months later, she reached out to the Ellison Empowerment Network, offering to volunteer as a mentor for youth programs, seeking redemption. Amara met with her gaze piercing but not unkind. "Actions speak louder than apologies," she said, echoing her earlier stand. "Prove you've changed." Lisa committed to long-term volunteering, her transformation a quiet testament to Amara's influence, earning cautious respect from the CEO. Thompson Air transformed, implementing a diversity initiative that became a model for the industry. Jamal's promotion inspired other young employees, and the airline's reputation rebounded as it embraced inclusivity, its once exclusive aura now tempered by humility. Nora Kim's article, "The Woman Who Owned the Jet and Changed Aviation," dominated headlines, sparking a broader conversation about prejudice in private travel. The hashtag #respect not riches became a global movement, a rallying cry for dignity over appearances. Amara continued her work, mentoring Jamal and others, her blazer a symbol of her unyielding integrity. She became a quiet legend, a woman who had faced assault with grace and turned it into progress. Her legacy was not in the jet she owned, but in the lives she uplifted, the system she changed, and the truth she refused to let die. The Gulfstream was no longer just a plane. It was a testament to the unseen force of Amara Thompson. Have you ever been judged for how you looked? Share your story in the comments and let's inspire each other. Hit that subscribe button for more epic tales that'll change how you see the world. This is PA Storytime, and we're just getting started.